All right, welcome everyone to round one. We've got Prack at the bottom of your screen. We've got Roshi at the top. Let's tell our players they are good to go. And let's get off with some great eternal action. Okay, Stormguard, what do you think of this keep for Prackalakin?
I think it's a fine keep. I'd be interested to see how they elect to sequence their power, because if they opt to go for the turn two Rust Grafter, turn three Sickle, turn four Lord Styre's Tower line, which is perfectly fine given the composition of their hand, they won't be able to say like warp a Deathwing on turn three, for instance, since they won't have the undepleted Justice Source in the form of the Recano. The Sileces, what we're still seeing the ripple effect of the Silex nerf to today, and I think it was for the better. But um,
Okay,
they
and on the
probably
other
just
side of
keep
things,
going.
Roshi is keeping a hand of 3 power, a coveted gemstone, an Allhead ascending, a consuming greed, a second coveted gemstone, and a waystone gate. So I don't even know a lot of these cards. This is going to be a doozy to watch for Roshi pilot this one. Always bringing the sweet brews to these tournaments. A little bit simpler on Prackalakin side. Play out your good 2 drop, play out your good 3 drop, followed up with a good 4 drop.
Yes, and I think Roshi is off to a fantastic start here. Turn three Waystone Gate, turn four Consuming Greed is exactly where I look to be with this deck. That is putting up a lot of board presence that the Ambitions Valks, with all of its tiny units, can't really necessarily compete with on the board. The Valks deck, like the Relics deck, is capable of generating a lot of value, but when they're beating you down with 8/8s, that can be quite a struggle.
All right, Prackalakin going to play out that Silver Slicer. That was one of the new cards that got a little bit buffed here, but this is a nice play. Look at this, playing out their 4th power on curve and seeing a Lord Stairs Tower off the top. Going to go ahead and get that warp value and warp that Lord Stairs Tower. That allows you to use 2 of the agenda items, so going to get both the Stairs Beckoning to get the Valkyries, also fire off that Ironclad Oath, and most importantly, getting one extra step closer to ultimating the Lord Stairs Tower. And with Roshi with no board out, it's going to be a little tough sledding here to be able to knock this tower off before it ultimates.
Oh, don't say that quite yet. Oh boy. If Roshi decides to go for the Consuming Greed, they will very quickly have a lot of board presence, although whether they'll be able to get past all of the individual units
Mm-hmm.
on Prax's side will remain to be seen. The deck. Wait, let me just quickly pull
Right,
up the deck list
Consuming
here.
Greed here, as you
Yeah.
mentioned, they went for it. Consuming Greed says summon, you may sacrifice a relic to play a 6/4 Rust Fiend. They did that. They got the 6/4 Rust Fiend, and they also got the 8/8 Gladiator Brawler. So pretty good there. As you mentioned, they quickly got their board coming out here.
I think right now Prax is should be very focused on defending their Lord Stairs Tower. Just took a quick peek at their deck list. Roshi does not appear to be running any Send an Agents main,
Mm-hmm.
which is a crucial piece in taking down Rota. They've only got the 4 Nethrite Lobotomy. So if Prac can defend and stick the Rota, most
Mm-hmm.
importantly, they'll be able to accrue a lot of advantage down the line.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So, gonna fire off the curfew enforcement and not exhausted at all. So, just giving the -1/-1 to the units, and then gonna play a rail driver Valkyrie. And they actually took the turn. Prac went to the market with the Rust Grabber. I'm sorry, with the Rust Grafter to get the display of ambition out of the market. And probably be able to use that last mode, I would think. Kill an enemy unit with 5 health or more. That seems like the best option here. Other options are units get +1 in Overwhelm or draw 2 units from your Void. Seems like the kill an enemy unit's what they want. And here comes Dumping Ground. If you haven't seen this one, it's a relic that says pay 10 and sacrifice Dumping Ground to play 2 units from your Void and give them charge. But very importantly, the summon ability says you may give -1/-1 to the unit. So playing out that dumping ground, able to essentially wipe Prack's board, leaving Prack with just an 0-1 and gonna take out that site. As you said, that was very important to be able to deal with that site, and Roshi did it.
Excellent. Yeah, the dumping ground is sort of at a very interesting space right now in current expedition because you really don't have a lot of effective what's the word for it? Board clears outside of Primal. In Primal, you have Storm Spiral, you have Cyber Combustion, and I guess in Argenport, you do have uh, what's the word for it? Know Thy Enemy. But in terms of just mono faction board wipes, like as we've seen in Throne, with the likes of Malediction, Hailstorm, you just really don't have that in Expedition. So having the option to do so with the Dumping Ground is a very interesting choice. Very good at sweeping up all the tiny things, not only just from Valks, but say the Grenadins deck as well.
All right, Amberlock gonna draw a card, gonna follow up with a coveted gemstone here. So Roshi just keeping the pressure on. You know, Prackalakin's got the sight, but as you mentioned, Roshi's got the big unit, so Prackalakin gonna have to be kind of playing defense here. Gonna fire off another one of those curfew enforcements, but again, not amplifying it, just gonna shrink by one. So still facing down a 4/4 and a 6/8. Now going to play out a Reappropriator with Decay. So 4/2 Flying Decay Regen Summon, steal an enemy relic while Reappropriator has attack greater to or equal to the relic's cost. Taking that coveted gemstone, it looks like. Is that what happened there? Not sure. It looked like they got that coveted. Coveted gemstone went to the void on Prackalakin's side.
Yeah. Interesting.
But either way, here we go. Linax Molten Wing, the draw. That's 2 in a row. Give that Ironclad Oath to pump Reappropriator up to an 8/6. Here comes the first of those Molten Wings. This is a sweet card. I love this card in Limited too. I know it's a rare, but 3/3 flyer. When you play a weapon, Linax deals that much damage to an enemy. So you play that, follow it up with a weapon, and just go off there. It's pretty sweet.
Absolutely, and I'm so glad that they made the appropriate changes to a card like Heavy Artillery because I believe the word is swinginess that comes from playing a card like that. Off your line, warping a card like that off your line X is absolutely ridiculous.
All right, well, Roshi going to use Curtain Call to keep both their units alive and eat both of Prackalakin's unit, but it's not enough to stop Lord Stairs Tower from going off. So here comes that Rota, as you mentioned, 6/6 Flying Endurance. At the end of your turn, draw cards until you have as many as the enemy player. And then a Linax also to follow that up, and then warping a Deathwing this turn, and then also a Watchwing support. You're going to be able to warp that one as well.
Oh, this is the power of Valkyrie Warp. Sometimes you just get a lot of free cards. Delightful.
Oh, I was so confused there because I didn't think he did, but Prackalakin did, and there's another Watchwing support on the top. That was confusing. So 3 Valkyrie Warp cards in a row there. All right, was that the Curtain Call? Yeah, the Destiny Curtain Call. You love when you get it back with the first draw.
Absolutely. Here.
Sort of a free block for Prack.
On
the Wisp, and then send an Envoy. Play a 5/5 Skyguard Sentinel Exhausted. Here we go. There's a 5/5 flying on the enemy turn.
Ooh, but no additional power to put into play to make more Skyguards, unfortunately.
That is true, and still no way to deal with this Rota either. Not going to play out their second copy of Watchwing support. And now Prackalakin's in pretty good shape because Prack can really pass if they want and just sit back on combat tricks and removal because they're the one with the board advantage right now with that Rota out. Drawing an 8/7 Stonehammer 2 off the top. Oof, that is a big body.
Absolutely. I think now that Prack has got their Watchwing support engine going, it's going to be really hard for Roshi to what's the word for it? Outsize?
Yeah, outsize.
The advantage of Xenan decks is that you're playing a bunch of massive chunks that are typically much bigger than whatever Valks is going on.
Right, but thanks to those Watchwing supports, as you mentioned, these units are going to get huge, so Xenan kind of losing one of its big advantages.
Absolutely.
6/4, pretty big, but this Stonehammer is going to be a hammer for sure. 8/7 flyer. Big here. So Roshi just going to chump block away a Wisp here. Here comes that Stonehammer. And might as well plunder our power. Prackalakin's at 6, says might as well just get a card out of that value too.
position, knowing that they don't really have they don't have any, so they need to draw lobotomy plus an additional relic. I think I'd be tempted to just play the power here because you know that you're going to be able to pick up more cards off the. Oh my
Oh
gosh,
wow, look at that.
more
Okay.
cards off the road. That is a lot
Yeah,
of
so sending
aggro.
envoy gonna give a bunch of blockers, and that's gonna put a stop sign for this Rhoda. That 6/6 can't really attack past what Roshi's got going on anymore. Martial efficiency is good, but I don't know. Roshi can just slam all four of those 5/5s in front of it, and that could be trouble. All right, martial efficiency gonna go onto the passionate Stonehammer here, and Prackalakin's gonna
Forcing.
ace base. There you go, and that
Ooh,
might. Oh, that's gonna be close. It's gonna force Roshi into some really bad blocks because these came in
yeah, you need to
exhausted.
block
The
the
Sentinels came in
Stonehammer
exhausted, so they
twice.
can't block. Oh, and gonna give it overwhelm as well. So that's gonna give all the units overwhelm. Gonna give the Stonehammer overwhelm, and that should be plenty of damage. Didn't even need the second attack. So
Oh,
congrats to Prackalakin. I proven me wrong. I called out that that display of ambition was gonna kill a unit, but giving it overwhelm was fantastic. Really well in that situation.
nice. I mean, I did not see lethal there. Kudos to Pratt for seeing that. Yep. Berserk on Stonehammer does work, as we saw. Was it 2 weekends ago?
Yeah. Turns out
Yeah,
Berserk
2 weekends
big
today
big
as well.
stats on a Berserk unit plus overwhelm can do a lot of damage real fast. See if our players are ready. They're pretty quick. They're probably going to jump down into game 2, and it looks like they are. So let's head right back into game 2 of Prackalakin versus Roshi.
Ooh, I love this hand out of Prac. I think I'd keep this. Yep, and they
Yep.
do.
Prack's going to go ahead and keep
Plenty of
that one.
options depending on what your opponent plays on both 2 and 3. Yeah, I think it's a very versatile hand. Probably want, I don't know, more towers. Tower seems to be a fantastic card at this matchup. Let's be honest. Um, yeah.
Our players know that they are good to go and not waiting on us here. All right, on the other side of things, Roshi deciding whether to keep. I imagine that Roshi's going to toss this one back. Only one power. Yep, going to toss that one back. Let's see what they're keeping here. You got 2 power, a Lethrai Courtier, send an envoy, curtain call, Lethrai lobotomy, and an all head ascending. So it needs a little bit of power, but pretty good. Kwame, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome everyone from Kwame's stream. Appreciate the support.
Thank you so much, Raiders. Oh, yeah.
All right, Prackalakin drawing a flash fry there. That's a pretty decent answer for all head ascending. Now, it's not the most power efficient here. Oh, we're going to go with a Stonehammer first. Okay. I'm sorry, I thought Prackalakin was on the play, but Prackalakin's on the draw, so could only deploy 2 there.
I think
Allhead's going to be able to
waiting on
attack here.
Flash is fine, considering they're so far off. What's the word for it? 6 time? Oh, and yeah, like something like the Courtier might be a better target, honestly. Yeah.
All right, just going to get in with that 2 attack. Prackalakin going to basically toss away that silver
Great. Yeah.
slicer.
Yeah, it gained you to life, I
Yeah,
think.
gained
All
you 2
things
life.
considered,
That's
that
true.
was pretty fine.
Pretty good. Friendly Wisp is
Hey,
interesting. That's a card that I feel like I played and saw a lot of back in the early days when you're building your beginner decks and you see this come out and it's pretty cool and like your big Xenan, but I haven't seen it competitively in a while. But here we go, Roshi playing it. And pretty good. I mean, you got your 1/1 flyer. You can draw some cards off of it.
yep, I think it's a good fit in like I guess non-primal based decks because you don't have a lot of ways to accrue card advantage, but as we can see here, Brack is essentially dismantling a Roshi's hand and leaving them with essentially the 1/1 flyer. If it doesn't draw the two cards, then a two power 1/1 flyer is incredibly overcosted.
Mini Helio, if you will, here. All right, Prackalakin going to play out a second Stonehammer, and they're going to plunder away an extra power. So Prack happy with 4 power, just going to toss one aside to make a treasure trove here. Probably knew they were drawing that 5th one.
Ooh.
Had the feeling there. Watchwing support off the top. Here we go. We're going to warp that Watchwing support. It's a relic. It says when you play an attachment, including this one, the top unit or weapon of your deck gets +2/+2, and Valkyrie warp. Add 2 random Justice cards to the market. Not the most relevant text, but just the ability to warp that effect, essentially kind of drawing you a card because you're playing it off the top of your deck. Plus the benefit to pump your units is pretty solid there. Follow that up with a Deathwing.
Very nice.
Flying Deadly Lifesteal 2/3.
Covet Gemstone. Can that find something big from the market?
Let's take a look at Roshi's market. In the market, they've got Stakeout, Shadowsea Rising, Dumping Ground, Oblivion Spike, and the Rum. That's where the Rum is hiding in the market.
A bit far off casting the Rum, unfortunately.
A little bit, yeah.
Getting mercilessly beat down in the air by Prack.
Yep, and 4/4 Rustgrafter. Here it comes. And, you know, a little bit different from last game, but it is something interesting that you had said in game 1, Stormguard, was the Watchwing support really taking away one of Roshi's advantages, which is my stuff is bigger. Well, Prackalakin says, well, with my Watchwing supports, I've got the value and my stuff is just as big as yours. So when you play out a 2-drop and it's a 4/4 decay, that all of a sudden makes the Xenan deck look a little tighter. Plus they have advantage of flyers and the sites as well. So pretty good here. I wonder if this is a tough matchup on the Xenan side, because it seems like everything coming up Valkyries here. Thank you so much, Possum559, for the follow, as well as Maro30. Thank you very much for supporting the stream. Welcome. Glad you all are here. As well as everyone else who came in from the raids or naturally. We appreciate everyone coming and supporting the stream.
Thank you so much for joining us. Does Roshi have the Consuming Greed here? I think that's probably one of the ways that they fall back in this game. Consuming Greed, sack the Gemstone, grab the 2 cards, hopefully finds some more units or interaction just to deal with the flyers, which are slowly but surely murdering Roshi to death.
Yeah, so the only thing Roshi has right now is Curtain Call of Rethrai Lobotomy, and went and grabbed an Oblivion Spike from the market, although it's always a little awkward when you go and you grab a market card when you don't have the power to cast it.
Indeed. Roshi just having a very getting a little bit stuck on power and just stumbling, and then
here we go. This display of ambition coming for Prack, and we might see the same play we saw last time.
Yep.
+1 and overwhelm.
Lethal.
Yeah, that should just be lethal. Here we go. Display of ambition +1 and overwhelm on all the units.
Ooh,
Curtain Call is going to give lifesteal. Yep, so that'll keep Roshi alive, I believe. Yeah, it's going to keep Roshi alive, but it's basically going to take both their units and the Curtain Call just to do that. All right, well, it's not over. Being able to play the Lobotomy to sack a relic to kill a unit and play an 8/8, but that's only going to get rid of one of them. So let's see. All right, Temple Tactic, the draw. Ooh, this could be an interesting little race here. Temple Tactic's going to put this back in hand for Roshi, and they're going to be able to attack again with their 8/8. But Prack's going to be able to play out the Rail Driver Valkyrie as well and draw a card.
More threats.
And they have the Oblivion Spike, but the time symbol's going to be depleted, so I don't think they can do anything this turn. Yep, and Roshi's going to pack it in. So congratulations to Prackalakin on winning that one 2-0 over Roshi.